Jules, welcome.
Thanks.
Finally.
Finally, I'm here.
I know, it's taken a few years, but nice to have you in the hot seat.
Back in the hot seat.
And congratulations on your new book.
Thank you very much.
How does it feel to have, well, it's quite vulnerable, your book. How does it feel to have it out there?
It's I did share a lot in there, but I think that's me. I'm very honest. I'm very open. And the book came of a place of because women, for some reason, reach out to me. And, if it's not just really basic kind of questions on hair and beauty, but then questions on confidence, on fashion. And then sometimes I'll get messages from women and they're sharing their heart and soul with me. And I think that, asking my opinion on what I would do in their situation. And so I've just kind of put everything in one place because it's really hard to keep up with my Instagram and how many messages I get. And, I want to do that for people and I just can't, I have a rule where I'm on my phone and I'll open up the top 10 messages that come in. And unfortunately, then you see some, not very nice things too when you have that system. But I want to have that with my community because they've been nothing but so supportive to me over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And so, this book is definitely a big dose of gratitude and thank you for cheering me on all the time through the good and the bad. But it's just a kind of everything in one place. And not that I'm any expert on, hair and makeup. Yes, I am. I was in the industry for 20 years, but I've just been really honest with my life lessons and my tips and what I've done and things that maybe I could have done differently, but I've learnt the hard way. So yeah, it is really honest. And I wanted it to have value to people, that really simple things that they can go, maybe I can try that, you know, in my life. So it's, I feel really proud of it. It's not an easy feat to write a book.
No. It's bloody hard.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. And I just hope, as I said, I hope people take value, just a little snippet from it.
Now, before we get on to, we go a bit deeper into the book, I have to ask you, how do you stay extra healthy-ish in your life?
Oh, at the moment, I'm on a mission. I fell pregnant and I'd just been launching my business Figure in the UK, and my healthy-ish was walking to the tube station, and because I just was focused on work, and I know that's not the right thing to do, but I was there for a short time to make a big deal, and I pulled it off, but I didn't come back feeling that great, not feeling strong and healthy. So as soon as I fell pregnant, I made a real conscious decision to be like, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing now. And I just have absolutely been crushing it, which has been amazing, through personal training. My pet trainer Penny, she's been great, and just being really conscious about what I'm choosing to eat, and just want to feel strong. You just want to feel standing tall. So that is what I've been doing. But also healthy-ish to me right now is more a mental state than a physical. And I do love my busy life, and to maintain that and not get on the verge of burnout, which I've done several times in the last couple of years, and just on the ground, I don't want to do that. So by doing a meditation course that I did about 5 months ago, I've absolutely loved that. And it's making me get amazing ideas, I have to say.
What does that look like in your life? Do you meditate every day, a couple of times a week?
So when I did aviatic meditation course, you meant to do 40 minutes. And I'm like, who has 40 minutes in their life?
That's a long time.
So 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon. I could guarantee that I can do one of them a day. But even the difference I feel from doing one has been amazing. And this is when you're really clearing your mind, and things obviously pop in and you kind of honor that and you accept that they're there. But I just feel like my mind's been a lot clearer as well with that, which has been a huge thing.
Yeah.
And just learning this course, I wanted to learn why and how and the history. It's been around for thousands of years, Ayurvedic medicine and meditation, and just the benefits it has on your mind and body is unbelievable.
So how is what's different about that type of meditation?
It's actually when you have your shaman that you train with, they give you, it's down to your birth date and astrology a little bit, you get given a word, and it's almost it's like a vibrational sound word that when you're meditating for the first 30 seconds to a minute, you just try and be silent. Sorry, a little stutter there. And then you start saying that word in your mind, and it's like a vibrational sound as well. So that helps with the body, with the calm. And it's very much just trying to keep your mind neutral. It's been, I've really enjoyed it. It makes a difference. And it's just, even if you can just do 5 minutes.
Yeah.
If I don't have time, I will definitely put on a Gabby Bernstein 5 minute, and that just kind of centers me. But the mental aspect of my wellness is kind of outriding the physical at the moment, because I just need to have a bit of a calm mind to get through everything.
Yeah, I hear. Now, let's talk a bit about just changing tack a bit. Let's talk a bit about, you and your self-confidence and your positivity. And, it's one thing I've always admired about you. That
Thank you.
You just got this beautiful energy when you walk into a room, and it's a bit magnetic in many ways. But, going back a couple of decades, I won't say many decades.
You're showing your age there.
Yeah, well, you and me both. Tell us about growing up. Where did you have this confidence when you were a teenager in the, say, 90s? And where did this come from?
I do tap on that a little bit in the book. I always, fortunately, did have this innate sense of self-worth and confidence. And by absolutely every means through life, that has been knocked and my confidence has been shattered, and I've had to pick myself up and do a lot of work on myself to maintain that confidence and self-worth and that journey to worthy. But I always naturally did have that about myself. But I would say the body confidence throughout the 90s, as most Australian women would connect to if you were growing up in that era, was we were just ignited by that impactful message of you're not going to make it in this world unless you're super skinny, and you're not going to be considered beautiful unless you're really skinny. And that was the supermodel era, and that was just how we felt. It really, really was. And that impacted me as a young teenager. It truly did.
I mean, it was all around us at that time, wasn't it? We had the waif like Kate Mosses out there, and they were held up as this is the body ideal, and it was everywhere in magazines.
It was everywhere.
Television, and this is to be accepted and valued and belong, you had to look like this.
Absolutely. And I think we all felt that. And just the knock-on effect that had it for me as a young girl, I definitely punished my body through that stage. I'm from a very curvy family of women, and I was trying to learn my radius because overnight I grew these hips and I had bruises everywhere because I'd be walking into things and I'm like, what's going on? I wasn't genetically going to be what this considered beautiful was.
Yeah.
And at that time when you're impressionable and you're 13 years old, that's a really hard thing to get your head around, of not feeling accepted. So that was a little bit difficult. And growing up through that, I moved to London very, very young. I just turned 21. It was my farewell. So it was 2001. It was still kind of in that era. And when I moved there, there was so many more different diversities of people and culture, and I just felt a little bit more accepted there for some reason. And in Australia at that time, it was very much all the advertising was that surfy, tall, blonde, skinny, which is obviously everyone's beautiful at any size. But when you were the minority, you're not accepted into that group because you look so different. You just, I don't know, as a young woman, it's hard to feel a place. So it was, it's been an interesting journey. And I think eventually at one point you've just got to go, this is me. And you just got to work what you got, which is what I always say with my business figure. Just work it. Make that conscious decision every day to accept yourself no matter what stage you're at in life, and just be happy with the body that you're blessed with. And, we've evolved so much now with that beauty at any size. And I think that, as a country as well, you can look at the advertising, we're so aware of being more inclusion from so much diversity of age as well, size, colour, all of it. And I think we're doing a great job in progressing in that way.
What about when you went on MAFS? How did you cope? Because, you do write in your book that you put on, a fair amount of weight, 10 kilos.
All you do is eat cheese and drink wine in there.
I did laugh at that little bit when you put that in there, actually. But I thought actually I pulled this line out of your book, which I thought was quite interesting. Being in the public eye has actually helped me reach this level of acceptance around my body. Can you talk to us about this?
It absolutely has, because eventually at some point you just have to stop caring, because you stand still and you get judged, and you move forward, you get judged. You take a step back, you get judged. You move left, you move right. You constantly get judged by people. So eventually at some point you've just got to go, you know what, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. And that's a very cliche thing to say, as long as how you feel about yourself. And also from being in the public eye and being a size 10 to a size 18, just after I had Ollie, no matter what size I was, I always had judgment from people. And I remember going on MAFS, even before I opened my mouth, there was our wedding leaked on Daily Mail, and obviously we'd never had an article about us on Daily Mail before. I'm like, oh, how exciting, rookie era, go through and read the comments. And I hadn't even shared who I was as a woman, and I was judged by my body, my bum, my hair, my face, and I was like, this is unbelievable. So it was actually a really good quick little lesson at the beginning, how we then kind of navigated our way through MAFS when it aired, 6 months later. So And then obviously on the show did put on 10 kilos because it's just such a crazy 3 months of live drinking wine and having cheese the whole time. And then obviously we got engaged and wanted to get married. So I wanted to get back to how I was before. And then I get messages and comments, oh, you've succumbed to that world and you've lost too much weight. I'm like, I wasn't even back to what I was when I first met Cam. Yeah. And people were still saying things. So you've just eventually got to go, it doesn't really matter. So it has helped me in that regard to really just step into my own and be, well, this is me. And I've been every size, and I just believe that whatever size you are, it doesn't define your purpose or your potential or your happiness. And I've never changed the way that I dress. And in a way, it's kind of, you know, I always still feel great. I always still feel good no matter what size I am. It's just more of a, you know, I know that through this pregnancy, I wanted to feel really strong. I had a COVID pregnancy last time, and I have made some decisions of how I'm looking after myself in that regard, because I wasn't walking by the end of my COVID pregnancy. I was sliding. I actually made a really funny reel about it. I think it was from the Olympics, and it was like someone finishing over the line, and I was just sliding. It was like, I was in a lot of pain, and I was like, I don't want to do that this time around. I want to feel really strong. So, and I think no matter where you are in a health journey, it's, you know, body confidence and body positivity isn't about like, oh, I love everything about myself. I think that's a bit toxic, you know, to be like, I love everything. It's fine not to think like, oh my God, I've got the best waist in the world or whatever, but just to be happy where you are with whatever decisions you're making, if it's a health journey or, you know, maybe you do want to lose some weight, but not making it the center of your universe where you hold yourself back in life because of your body. You know, I think some people do go, oh, I'm going to do this when I lose weight. I'm going to do that. And it's like, no, actually the good things happen when you start thinking like that and believing that you're capable of anything anyway, not thinking, oh, life's going to change when I get to that destination. It doesn't work like that. So I think just being happy no matter where you are along the way. I
think one of your tips you've got in your book is you are not your weight. And I think what you just said for me sums that up, because, you know, you strike me like you are not your weight. You are comfortable with who you are, and you've obviously done a lot of work on who you are and being comfortable with that and what you want out of life. And I think sometimes for me, if you do start thinking about how you look, it's good to shift you know, say to yourself, well, no, that's not what is good about me as a person. Like, what are my strengths? What are my other strengths outside of what I look like? Yeah,
I agree.
And that's you.
Thanks. That's what I aim to do.
The other tip you had in your book is talk kindly to yourself. Yeah. How do you talk kindly to yourself?
I think like at the moment, you know, I know some women really don't enjoy being pregnant. Like they really struggle with the physical changes, and I understand that. But I guess I'm a little bit fortunate in the way that I love it. Like I love feeling this baby. I love seeing it grow. I love my big belly. I don't like my big nipples. Like that's just like what is with that?
Yeah, they go massive, don't they?
But it is incredible though. You've got to go, isn't that amazing? Like the woman's body that they turn so dark and like get their own postcode. So this baby who can't see can navigate their way. Like that's freaking incredible. Like that is amazing. Like we are superwomen. So I, you know, before my first pregnancy, I haven't done it so much this time. I mean, it's very different looking after life and creating life at the same time. Like totally different story, as you'd know. But just sitting in front of the mirror and just being naked and just being like, this is my new body. This is my new boobs. This is my new belly. And all these new things, and just focusing on what you're actually doing, which is creating life, which is amazing. And you know what? Like they'll all come back, you know, maybe not the same, but you know, you can work on it afterwards. I think, you know, just speaking kind to yourself, like it's such a simple thing to do. Thoughts become things. Like if you look in the mirror and you know what, we all have those days, like you're hormonal or you just feel a bit shit, you know? Like shit. Yeah, and nothing can crack it out of it. But you know what? Honor it. You know, being diagnosed with PMDD, like I had to really honor those times. And, you know, fortunately I'm in a position where I sometimes could go, you know what, I'm just going to have this off day, you know, and have that day and honor it and feel the emotions, because I know that in probably 48 hours I'm going to be back bright as day. So I think, you know, as I said, like you have to honor those times, but if you can do those daily routines of just like looking in the mirror and being like, I look great today, like just little things like that. There's nothing wrong with saying that. I actually mentioned in my book, my cousin, who's one of my bestest friends, you know, when you're a teenager, I don't know if it's still an insult now, but when people go, oh, you love yourself so much.
yes.
You remember? You're so stuck up.
Yeah.
And that was such an insult. And then obviously writing the book and remembering my childhood. And I was like, what a great, she used to say that to me. And I'm like, what a wonderful insult that I used to be told when I was like 12. Are you so stuck up? I'm like, and in a funny turn of events, she now helps people love themselves through healing, you know?
Isn't that fun? I mean, that's so ironic in many ways because we did use that
as a weapon.
Yeah, as a weapon. Oh, you're so in love with yourself.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's important to be in love with yourself. And why do women struggle with self-love?
Yeah, I know. It's funny, isn't it? Like, yeah. I mean, I think, I don't know. I don't really know the answer to that. I mean, I think there's so many external influences, but we have to think, why do we let these external influences be the bottom all of our value on ourselves? And I think, you know, we're come in leaps and bounds, but it is something that we all, I don't know, I don't think anyone really has the answer to it. I mean, what do you think?
I think only the person has the answer.
Yeah.
Like you have the answer in yourself.
Yeah.
Because you only know what you criticize yourself about.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it comes to, well, on the outside or inside.
Yeah.
So you have the answer to how you love yourself, and that can be through, you know, well, more positive affirmations about who you are as a person on the inside or what you can bring to, you know, the table, so to speak, or it can be about looking. I mean, one thing that I do, I think I got this from Tara Brumford actually, is always think about what your body does for you and is doing for you rather than how it looks. And that's kind of, you know, if I'm having a day where I feel like shit, or it's always when I'm coming to a period or whatever. Yeah. And I think, yeah, but what's my body doing for me? Well, you know what? It's ovulating or whatever. You know, I've got all these cramps because I gave birth to 3 babies and I did that.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's amazing. So that's probably my little love myself mantra.
And also knowing yourself into what little things maybe can trigger you to make you feel like that, you know, as well, and not putting yourself in that, but also acknowledging it and being like, maybe I need to work on that a little bit, but just taking care of yourself in that aspect. Because, you know, I know sometimes when I was younger, like I'd do things and just go along with it when it wasn't actually making me feel good, you know. And as you get older, you just be a bit like, this is me, and I know my boundaries of what makes me feel good and surround myself with that.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's an interesting path, isn't it? And I think that, you know, a lot of people will say, oh, life begins at 40, and it's like, let's just try and make life beginning at any age, right? And that comes down to knowing who you are. I really believe that. Knowing who you are and just being really clear on your values and your integrity, means that you're just living life, you know, to the full, and not going, oh, you know, when you're 40, when you end up going, oh, I'm not going to put up with anything anymore. We should always have that mentality.
Yeah, because I mean, you could say that about any decade. Oh, life begins in your 20s.
Yeah.
Life begins in your 30s. I mean, life begins in your 40s, 50s. I mean, I've heard 60s and 70s.
Yeah. So. I did tap in the book actually, where I got really emotional writing it actually, that when I'm talking about friendships and girlfriends, and how it was like a bit of a melancholy feeling, because obviously I love my life that I've created now, and I have with everything, you know, I've got a baby on the way, I've got a baby, I've got a beautiful husband, and, you know, I've got amazing things that I've always wanted, but I just kind of had that moment of missing that 20s of when you were just your girlfriend's number one focus, and you spent all weekend together and you just had so much fun, you know, like, and I just was like, oh, I love my life now, but I got really teary writing that part, because you would just see each other's focus, and that's such a special time of friendship. Oh, and I think that's when they say, like, oh, your best years, you know, like every year's your best years, but it is a really special moment in time where you don't have that much responsibility, where you're just living to have fun with the people. And I'm still friends with all those girlfriends now. So
do you know, I actually went through,
we still have fun though, trust me.
Cleaning it, good. I was cleaning out an old cupboard on the weekend, or a cupboard, and I found all the photos of in my 20s when I lived over in London and Canada, and, you know, we had a few trips to Ibiza and all sorts, and I just got very nostalgic. Yes. And I was taking photos of the photos and sending them to all my girlfriends, saying, oh, remember this, remember that. And that was so, but it was a lovely feeling.
It is a lovely feeling. And I think from you mentioning that, one thing I think is a really important message for women to always remember is that when you're looking back at those photos of you in Ibiza, I bet you were thinking, God, I look hot. I look so amazing. Were you not?
Do you know what we actually commented to each other?
Yeah, like how good we look.
Wow, look how good we look.
But you probably remember your mindset then, and you probably were like, oh, I need to get skinnier for Ibiza. Like I need to like look a certain way. And, you know, and that just shows that the only thing that was wrong was not your body, it was your mindset. And I think that is such an important, valuable lesson for all women, because you're going to look back at yourself in this moment right now in 10 years and go, God, I look great.
Yeah.
And I think that that is so important to just appreciate where you are and the body that you're living in.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Jules, thank you for coming on Extra Healthy-ish.
Thank you.